Hi, Misha here.
Hey, this is Jay.
And it's that time again. Time for another Q&A. It's already been 2 months. Doesn't feel like it's been 2 months.
No, time flies.
Yeah, actually, this is the first day we're, I don't know, we're in that weird day. We're the day that doesn't exist today.
Yes, so none of this counts.
Exactly, but it actually feels like spring outside, and it's the first spring day we've had.
Yeah,
quite nice.
The biggest problem has just been the rain. It seems like it rains every other day for a couple of days. It might be sunny, usually on a Wednesday morning, and then is rainy again through the weekend, so...
Yeah, so we just got back from the range, threw pretty much the guns out of the ranger bags on the table, although some of them are relevant to some of our Patreon questions.
Yeah. Yep, so we'll go ahead and get started.
By the way, yeah, if you want to submit a question to one of these, any Patreon support at all, $1 and up, throw as many questions as you want, and we do these every 2 to 3 months, just depending on schedules. And
it's usually about every other month.
Sometimes if we're not busy or vacations, summers can be a little slower, but yeah, we do it when we get, around 15, 20 questions.
Yep. So to start, Ryan asks, are there plans to import or have there ever been Albanian AK imports or parts kits?
I'm sure that there are a few Albanian kits in the country, but I don't think there was ever any mass import wave. It's like you can find a few North Korean kits and things, but not really. And I don't think there's any plans. I don't think people have connections. Dealing with Albanian businessmen can be a little difficult, and I'm not sure where that nation falls on trade with America, like its status, because you have to be on pretty good terms with the USA to get approval to import guns. And I don't think they actually still make them. So without an active working factory, no one's going to make some autos over there for importation here.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Have you ever heard of Albanian AKs coming in? Kits, at least?
No. Not at all.
Yeah.
Here's an article from December 2nd, 2010 from Balkan Insight saying the Albanian government would donate 30,000 Kalashnikov automatic rifles and 50 million rounds of ammunition as part of the NATO coalition's mission in Afghanistan. So there you go. They all went to Afghanistan.
I know quite a few of their SKSs ended up being voluntarily destroyed through various, NATO, UN peace things years ago, so I know. So I think if you want something Albanian, one of their SKSs is pretty cool.
Yeah. Alrighty. Next question from Michael. Nope, sorry. Skipped one. From Tyler. With the AK-12 parts coming in, what other kits can we expect to see in the U.S.? I've heard rumors of Europe banning the sale on mags and parts kits starting in early 2020. Do you have any information on this? Can we expect a flood of parts, kits, and magazines? Thanks.
Well, we're March now of 2020 and still nothing, so certainly not in early 2020. Have you heard anything about a ban?
I know of. No, but the EU and all that stuff is really tricky with all that stuff, so...
I honestly think a lot of the warehouses full of Kalashnikovs and Kalashnikov parts have already been emptied out, either sold here as parts kits or, like you just mentioned, sold the Middle East, Afghanistan. There are markets for that now, so I don't think there are many kits left in Europe. I would say probably the most, this is just a guess, might be in Finland, because I know that they have about a 250,000 Chinese and East German and various other AKMs just kind of stocked up.
And it's the other hang up of that is if European liberal ideology prevents the importation of, or the exportation, I guess you could say, of firearms to the United States.
And if they're already DWATs over there, the bolts have to be mangled, and then of course to come over here, the receivers and the barrels have to be mangled. So with that, what's left? I mean, you got to remember too, a parts kit in 2020 isn't like a parts kit in 2000. Right. To me, when they started making them cut up the barrels, my interest went way down in kits.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. There's rumors of things all the time, but there's just not a lot over there anymore. And Romania has stuff, but we're getting Romanian stuff. Poland has stuff, we're getting Polish stuff. So I think we're kind of already getting what's available.
What's available and what they're willing to export. Yeah. Michael says, "Greetings, gentlemen. What are your favorite flavors of the SKS and why? Are there any more out there in the wild that could be imported other than the Yugo 59 series? Also, how do I purchase a firearm from you? I'm in Ohio." Thank you, fellows.
Raspberry is my favorite flavor. What's yours?
I like just the good old Cosmoline.
Cosmoline flavor, yeah, it's like vanilla Cos.
Right.
This one just came in the store. I threw it on the table. It's a genuine Chinese mutt gun. I think what someone did to it. It was tap code in the 90s, and then someone got a Russian stock to try to restore it. And then they got a cheese grit or upper handguard because why not? But yeah, no. I mean, SKSs are CNR, so you can bring them in if you can find them. It's just, I think what's mostly left, again, we've had a lot of imports over the years, so what's mostly left are going to be pretty war-weary guns.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't a ton of nations. I mean, China was the biggest maker of the SKS, certainly outside of Russia, but even probably more made in China than anywhere else.
Sure.
Those are blocked. Pretty much Russian stuff is blocked. East Germany didn't make many. I wish a secret stash of East German SKSs could be found and brought in, because we haven't seen many of those.
Yeah.
But in the Yugos, those have come in already. Romanians have already been imported. Again, we've kind of mostly emptied that piggy bank with the exception of maybe some East Germans hiding somewhere.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
There's not a whole lot of variation in them.
I know there's that Potbelly SKS that was kind of different.
The mag-fed one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Chinese. That was commercial. I like SKSs, but it's hard to get away from just the classic Russian.
Yeah.
I guess I like, an earlier Russian one just because it's really cool because you see elements of that World War II design aesthetic. It has a lot in common with the SVT in a way.
Sure. Yeah, Russian is my favorite. I've shot a Romanian, and then had a couple Russians now and shot Chinese, and the Russians are, I think we've even shot a Yugo. The Russians are my favorite ones to shoot. They just seem to have a little bit higher level of fit and finish, and they're just really, they're cool. Russian SKSs are really cool.
Yeah, and you typically they're in either unissued condition or refurbished unissued. Right. So they're usually good bores, good springs. A lot of your Romanians have some issues because they're worn, and a lot of your Yugos, they sometimes have kind of shot out bores or rusty gas systems because of corrosive plus non-chrome lining. So,
yeah.
Yep.
And to this final question, how do I purchase a firearm from you? We can't really get into that on YouTube or even refer to it.
We can't link. Stuff. Yeah, we really can't link on YouTube, and Patreon has actually kind of gotten even worse than YouTube lately about it. But you can email me, Ozark Bear Arms, OZARKBEAR. ARMS, Ozark Bear Arms at gmail.com, and go from there. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Or if you just search for Mishaco on Gunbroker, you'd probably find something.
Yeah. You do your business through Gunbroker. So.
Yeah, pretty much. Gunbroker and kind of a mailing list.
Andrew says, "What up, boys? Do either of you carry a backpack or maybe even a fanny pack around daily? I usually have a small backpack in my car with essentials such as charging cables, toothbrush, baby wipes, and medical kit. Keep up the great work." Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah, I carry one around for my tripod cat, Peanut. Now, since I'm pretty much here all day, I don't really have a need. And obviously, when you don't drive, you don't have a car, your things. So I carry a wallet, a key ring, usual stuff. Yeah. I do have toothpicks and things on my key ring.
Sure.
Knife, nail clippers.
I keep a small toolkit. It's actually a gunsmith toolkit. For the life of me, I don't remember what the brand of it was. It was given to me as a gift from a relative. So in that, I keep a small amount of basic gunsmithing tools. So if we're out at our longer range, which we haven't been able to get to much at all this year because of the rain,
it looks like
mudded out. So we've had questions about that. I'm going to get into that later. So I keep that loaded with basically anything I would need to do a basic disassembly on most of the guns that I own. And then I also keep a trauma kit in there. So basic med kit, and then a few, wound healing things.
It's funny. You started taking that trauma kit with you when we had that after the Sten years ago.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, legit. That's things like that should happen.
Anytime there's going to be potentially blood involved, you want to be able to stem it as quickly as possible, especially where we go shoot at the longer range. We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not easy to get places. So being able to get out onto a main road from where we're at is kind of a key component of that. So,
and I bet a lot of people too. A lot of outdoor ranges are not places you're going to get to medical care in under half an hour. So I would say definitely Band-Aids, tourniquet, maybe some basic antibiotic, and sterilization and things like that.
Yep, I keep all that in my little, along with, like I said, gunsmithing and some basic cleaning supplies in case we have a sticky bolt or something like that. We don't have to. It just doesn't end the trip.
You really sight tool. That's another good one to take with you. Basic Allen head and flathead screwdrivers. Phillips head. But basic driver types, because you never know when you might need to tighten down something or loosen something up or. Yeah, basic stuff. And I usually do when we go shooting. I usually keep stuff in. I keep all my mags in mag pouches, and typically in the pouches I'll put extra stuff that pertains to that gun. Like my HK pouch has the little HK multi-tool that has like 10 different little fold-out things, and pretty much you can work on any G3, MP5 with those tools, and AKs. I keep those little pellet kits and. Yeah, it's always nice because you don't want to have to end a trip because you don't have a $5 screwdriver. Right. Yeah. I just keep my makeup in my fanny pack. Of course. John says, "Do you have any idea how many Spaz 12s were? Sorry to our UK viewers, by the way. How many Spaz 12s were imported with the 19 and 7/8 inch barrel? Cannot find any numbers anywhere. It seems that the vast majority imported were 21-inch barrels." I really don't know much about the Spaz 12. I mostly stick with military guns, and I just don't. It's not one of those guns that calls to me. I think things like the Benelli M4 or the Vepr 12 do what it did and do it better and more modern. So I'm sorry, I just don't know. I mean, I would just say Google it because that's all I would do, honestly. Reading up, it seems like those 19 and 7/8 inch barrels were fairly rare. And then the little note that I read said pretty much the shorter the barrel, the more collectible that they are. So I imagine they're pretty difficult. I'm sure there was a reason for importation why they made the change, but I would be guessing if I went further. I don't know. It's interesting, and if you're into stuff like that, I definitely like variations. It's just usually on guns that I'm into, and that's just not one that speaks to me on a personal level. If you like it, that's awesome. I mean, anything pre-band is always pretty cool. Well, between Jurassic Park and Half-Life, there's a pretty big following for this. Oh yeah, and my Tim, he likes them. I mean, it's I know people that are into them. Yep. I just happen to be. They're really unique looking. Yeah. Like, they definitely don't look like anything else. So. Yeah. Lucian says, if an AK-12 clone were to come to the U.S. market, do you think it would be a big game changer and overtake/dethrone the popularity of the AKM? Or will it just become an interesting collectible that falls to the wayside after a few years? As always, thanks for the great content, guys. Thank you, Lucian. What do you think? I don't think it... There's always going to be a contingent of people that want two things with an AK-12. Or with an AK. There's a lot of people that just want a classic Soviet-looking AK. So just basic, wood, plain Jane,
760 by
45
39.
degree gas block.
Yeah, exactly. That just looks like a Soviet AK, because when they think AK-47, that's what they think of. For the people that want modern stuff, I tend to think that they're either going to start with a basic AK and then just customize it to fit them, or they're going to not get an AK. So I don't think there's ever going to be a point where people are going to just abandon the AKM, because at some point they're going to be so outdated that people are just going to want classic, like, military reproductions. But until then, they're going to be, I think you're going to have it either one of the two.
Well, I think the M14 M1A is a good example. There are modern M14 M1As, but most people want your classic Vietnam woodstock full metal jacket looking thing. And to me, an AK-12 or an AK-15, whichever caliber, is pretty much just an AK-74M with a lot of the ergonomic updates and rails and things that we actually see on, a lot of American high-end guns, Krebs, Definitive Arms, whatever. It seems like a lot of American companies have kind of already addressed, maybe not identical, but it's pretty much just a modernized with modern feature set and slightly upgraded controls and things, but it's still at the heart of it an AK-74M.
Yep. Yeah, because I think if the only criteria was that we're an extremely modern AK, then the Galil Aces would be outpacing regular AKM sales. And they're not, because people they want...
Yeah, every time you hear, everyone talks about the Ace, most of the time they say, well, why don't they do a classic one? No one says the Ace is a bad gun, unreliable, not durable, but most of them, they don't like the polymer lower, they don't like the railed handguards, they really want the classic Galil.
Yep.
Same thing with like the VZ58. I don't think, because let's face it, the AK is an old design, and there's only so much you can do to keep it up to date.
Right. Yeah. Cajun Catfish says, "Hey Misha and Jay, proud to be patron number 150. Thank you very much. Here's my question. I currently own several quote-unquote high-end AKs, including Vepr FMs, SGLs, and a SAM-7R. However, it's clear the direction imports are heading. I'd like to get at least one more higher-end AK if there's still time. Are there any quote-unquote premium imported AKs still available right now that are on the same or similar level as the SGL, Vepr FM, or SAM-7? Or should I just accept there's nothing left on that level and be thankful I managed to get some when they were available? Do you think the WBP Fox AK-2 is the best import available right now? Durability and reliability at high round counts is my main concern. Thanks."
Okay, so as I pointed out before, there aren't that many factories still making AKs today. Okay, Russia and China are out. Mm-hmm. All we really have left nationwide are Poland, Romania. Who else am I? Who else is...
Romanian Arsenal.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Bulgaria. Well, there you go. We were talking about in the car. Yeah, okay, Bulgaria, Romania, Poland.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Egypt's done. Czech Republic makes the VZ58, which is spiritually in the same camp, but is a different gun.
Yep.
There's talk about Hungary, FEG coming back, but nothing's really come of it.
Let me interrupt you very briefly. The VZ58 actually is a good call out, because that is an import. That's a really high quality gun and is in that kind of tier of high end AK prices. I
was just going to boil down who's still doing stuff, and the last one I can think of is Serbia, Yugoslavia, which we're getting. Yeah. So among those, I completely agree. The VZ58.
If you don't have one, that would be a good next one.
And you can either get modern style if you want the tactical, or you can get classic bake. And also, don't be afraid if you see one with black furniture. And I've noticed this a lot with people. They'll see something like here, this SLR 104FR. Okay, it's got the modern black handguards, folding stock.
Yep.
So it's a modern looking gun. A lot of people call it an AK-74M style. Not really, but all you have to do if you want more of a classic 70s, 80s look, take these off, put wood on, take this off, one pin, put a metal stock on. And I've done 3 of these this past month, and none of them were like this. I was thinking about that every time.
I found that stock when I was cleaning my room out the other day, and I was like, oh, that was rough.
You're the only one that's different. But anyway, basically, if you were to find a VZ58 with the modern furniture, it's very easy to put the classic furniture on it, is my point. That's not an AK, but it definitely is in that zone. Milled receiver, 7.62.
They don't produce a ton of them, and
Nope.
they're an import. So if
They are
ever
true.
decide we are not making VZ58s anymore, or they can't export them to the U.S. anymore, then that would be a good one to have in the collection.
And WBP is very good. It's almost a classic AKM. It does have the modern Barrel rail and a few other things, but it's basically a classic. Also, FB Radom, the mini Barrel pistol. If you're wanting a modern gun, 5.56, that's probably the highest quality coming in. As far as arsenal guns, man, I don't know. They're still good quality, but he said he has those, but I don't know what we're going to see. And I like Estava, but I probably would not put them on the same level as Poland, Bulgaria, Russia.
Right.
Estava is kind of middle. I think they're a little better than Romania, but yeah. But they're good guns. I like the PAP series.
Right. Yeah, for me, what I would say is WBP definitely, because they are also one that if there are any import laws and restrictions and so forth, that they would be on the chopping block and probably become super desirable because they're an import. And at the same time, Rob Ski has done torture tests on WBP before. Our experience has been very good on WBP. So that would be one that I would say is up there for as far as quality. And then, provided nothing crazy happens with the import market, like you mentioned, the mini barrel, anything made by FB Radom, and hopefully if we ever see anything that's not a mini barrel, rifle length, those would be on the list as well.
Yeah, anything. Because all we've had from Poland so far are the Archers, 700 of them, 5.56. The only other 7.62 guns are the Pioneer Arms, which let's just say we don't recommend and go from there, and WBP, which we do recommend. And I will say that WBP, they use the FB barrel and some other FB components, so they're, and again, we've never had a true FB Radom 7.62 gun, so if you like that caliber and want something from Poland, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I think WBP's way up there.
Yeah.
I do. I think that that will definitely be one that people look back on and think, wish that they got when they could have.
And people sometimes say, well, it's not a military gun. The thing is, neither was the Vepr FM. It wasn't a military gun, yet it has a really good reputation. And the thing is, you don't find many unhappy Fox owners. They're just people who actually own them and shoot them overwhelmingly have had good experiences. I'm not saying there's not a limit or two out there, but I don't know. Seem pretty few and far between.
Right. Zach says, hey, fellas. Do you think the PSA will be a game changer? Do you think PSA, sorry, not the PSA. Do you think PSA will be a game changer for the AK market? Depends on the definition of game changer.
Yeah. I will say right now they've made vast improvements with their third and coming out fourth generation guns. They've shown a lot, said a lot of things are in the works, promised a lot of new models, but none of them have made it to market yet. So withholding judgment on their 5.56, their 5.45, etc. Because you can use what you learn from 7.62, but the thing is, both the smaller cartridges, it's a much higher velocity. It's a different system. I mean, they're certainly going to help the game. I mean, they've at least legitimized U.S.-made AKs, them as well as Kalashnikov-USA. Those two companies have done what Century and IO said they were doing a few years ago and fell flat on their face.
So I think where they're helping us right now, as people who aren't necessarily interested in U.S.-made AKs, only because, again, we have import options already owned, so we don't really need one. But for us, I think where we're seeing that benefit, that tangible benefit, where I would say they're a game changer, is making the AK market be more cost competitive, because we're not able to have like Kalashnikov-USA or WDP or whatever can't start pushing arsenal prices, because PSA is a thing that still exists, so they're at least incentivized to try to get down closer to an acceptable gap, from a retail standpoint.
Yeah, I'd also say it's hopefully they'll all start offering spare parts, because it'd be nice if like extractors and bolts and things, because we already have a US made fire control group, some of them now quite good.
Right.
It would be nice to have small parts made here.
Yeah.
Where if anything breaks on your SGL or whatever, you can get it.
Isn't it weird that we're talking about an American AK as being the cheap option against foreign imports? Because that seems like that's totally almost everything made domestically is going to be more expensive than things made overseas, but in the AK market it's flipped.
To be fair, the Wasser and the PAP are in that 700-ish range. So, and that's about, they're about on par. Of course, the Kalashnikovs are higher.
Yep.
The PSA start off lower, but once you start actually getting like forged trunnion options, they're there too. So I'd say they're about on par.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's just a very different conversation than what we would have been, that we were having even just 5 years ago with.
And that might be to Century Arms' credit. If nothing else, the C39, the RAS-47 did drive the price down. Now the guns were driven into the ground too, but at least it set a certain and kind of showed what not to do.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and then it set that precedent that people aren't going to buy junk if they're making junk, regardless of what the price is.
And if you make junk with the YouTube and everything now, you can't sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, it's going to kill reputations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to have this attitude at Century and many other companies. Well, one unhappy customer, so what?
Right.
But you can't do that now.
No, that one unhappy customer's post is going to be on the internet forever. And it's going to be the first result and the first time you Google a review of that particular item. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a game changer necessarily, but it certainly is not. It certainly is a good thing for the market.
I think if nothing else, it might stabilize the market, because if PSA can deliver a steady supply of basic AKs, it gives at least something always available.
Yes.
Therefore, you may not see these big panic sprees on Gunbroker whenever washers dry up for 6 months again.
Yeah.
Or
gives somebody an option. They have something to buy
if they just can't.
That's going for crazy prices because everybody wants one now and nobody can get them because they're between import cycles.
Right. Yeah. Which it happens. That's how imports have been and always will be. They come in batches. They're not. They don't ship 100 a week. They build and then they ship whatever their order is, 1,000, 5,000, and they build and they ship it again, because that's how shipping works.
Right.
Whereas if you're a company like PSA, you can put out 100 a week because there's no import shipping.
Right. Yeah. Ryan says, if you could only have one caliber, 5.45 by 39 or 7.62 by 39, which one would you choose and why? This is a tremendous question, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a practical side and then a fun side to me. My practical side, 7.62 39, hands down.
Same.
But fun, I do enjoy shooting 5.45 more.
So yeah, I think we almost have to structure this in a way that says, if right now in the real world, for me, it's 7.62 by 39 immediately because of ammo. Ammo options, everybody's making 7.62 by 39. It's extremely common, and it seems to be, right now, is the commercial market's choice in AK calibers.
Right. And I will say that absolutely, as a dealer and distributor and talking with distributors, it is still, 7.62 39 is by far what people request and buy over 5.45, 5.56, and any other caliber all put together.
And it's
still.
It's different too. I mean, if you're talking about the difference between 545 and 223 are much more negligible compared to the difference between 223 and 7.62 by 39.
Yeah.
So it is a very different cartridge in how it functions.
Right. There's not a lot of equivalents out there. I mean, yeah, you can say the 30-30 or the 300 blackout or whatever, but really the 7.6239
right.
falls in between a lot of other cartridges.
Right. But if you take the ammo element out of it, as far as if 545 were as common as 22 on the shelves, you could buy whatever you wanted at affordable prices. I think the 545 is way more fun to shoot.
Exactly. I'm saying, yeah, it's a lot more fun, and it is more accurate, flat shooting.
It's really pretty good. It's a good cartridge. Really.
But the problem is availability of the guns, availability of the mags, availability of the parts.
Yep. There's a lot more 7.62 by 39 variety.
Sure.
In the rifles, in the guns that shoot it, because so many more countries made a 7.62 by 39 version of that, or even still are making them, whereas only a few made 5.45.
Yeah, I mean, I could almost count the makers of 5.45 on one hand, whereas 7.6239 was made in well over a dozen countries and used by, like, 5.45 never became popular in South America, Africa, the Middle East, those areas.
Right. Yeah. So I think in a fantasy world, 5.45, but in the real world today, probably 7.62.
That's what I was saying. Like for shooting, and also just cool factor. 5.45 is just neat. I remember the first time I saw one of the cartridges and guns and the concept. Now I will say that really objectively, military loading compared with military loading, I don't really think 5.45 is notably superior to 5.56. Obviously, if you're comparing some light-loaded 223 to a full military 5.45, then that's going to be better. But there's a certain... They are light recoiling. It is a really hot and fast little bullet.
Right. Yeah, and they don't feel the same as 223.
No, they really don't.
They have more of a punch to them, but it's a real... It's still... very smooth. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's cool. It's a fun round to shoot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Hyatt says, "Hey Misha and Jay, what are your opinions of the new K&S adjustable rear sight for the AK platform? It definitely seems like an interesting option for those wanting to improve accuracy or compensate for canted sights. What is your opinion on the K&S Precision rear sight?"
It's awesome sauce. Obviously, I don't have an opinion. I mean,
So as far as adjustments go, right now, you can already get RPK rear sights that can help you adjust for canted sights. And those have been around for a while and are relatively common, I would say.
Yeah, for a while you mean 1959, so yeah.
Yeah. So if the question is just adjusting for canted sights, I mean, I think to me that at least keeps the gun, it keeps the style of the gun consistent. And that plenty of companies have already made ghost ring replacement rear sights that are a lot more low profile. So I had to actually dig a little bit to find pictures of the K&S Precision because I didn't really know about it before I read this question. And it seems like it reminded me of like an M1A National Match rear sight or something with all these little dials and stuff on it. And it just seems so contradictory to the AK aesthetic and not capability is not fair because plenty of AKs are.
And I would have to say it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's heavier than the RPK, and I don't think it would be as durable. The RPK sight is not much bigger than a standard sight. Yeah. It does the windage adjustment. Now, the K&S, I'm sure, has much more precision adjustments, but that's not what an AK, especially, again, maybe on a 5.45 you could utilize it, but on the 7.62 gun, the ammo is usually just not that consistent.
Right.
Especially just regular Wolf or whatever.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah, I mean, Krebs makes a ghost ring sight, and I do think objectively, I think by and large ghost ring sights are better than notch and post, but that'd probably be the way I would go, because at least it's generally low profile. The KNS seems just like it's a big chunky thing, and honestly, if I'm trying to squeeze as much accuracy as I can out of my AK, I'm not using iron sights. I'm using at least a low power fixed magnification optic, if not a scope.
I think, yeah, with any AK that's on the market, there's some way to mount a scope, a sight to it. Even if you have to go to like a gas tube or a dust cover mount, there's some way. Right. But most AKs now have a side rail or barrel style or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I have AKs. In all honesty, I probably don't have the iron sights sighted on because I've got a prismatic optic on it, and that's what I use. So that would be my choice. Is just throw a scope or something.
There's always Kentucky windage.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think
if you have it and it works out for you, let us know.
Yep. I think we're just saying subjectively, it's not our style.
Yeah. Sure. I'm not gonna put money into making my iron sights more accurate. I'll put a red dot or something on their sighting option. Ryan says, what are your guys' thoughts and opinions on the Estava M76 DMR? What's the best way as a civilian in the USA to get one?
Well, it is a neat gun. Obviously, it's actually, funnily enough, those two were kind of developed. Sorry, the M76 was developed somewhat in parallel with the PSL. Cougar and Estava had some cross-referencing when they were both doing it, and they both essentially made an overgrown AK. Of course, in the case of the PSL, it's 7.62-54R. In the case of the M76, it's 8mm Mauser. Because Estava, that's what Yugoslavia was using for a DMR. That's what they went with. They're good guns. I mean, milled receiver, adjustable gas system. That's not, you can't adjust it on the fly. You have to pull the gas tube off, but it is adjustable. They even have interrupted threads to put on a quick detached sound suppressor. They have a flash hider. Honestly, they're cooler in a lot of ways than a PSL. But
I don't like the pistol grip over the thumbhole stock on those.
You do or you don't?
I do like the pistol grip over the thumbhole stock.
Those are actually kind of like the grips that were on the Mitchell imports too, on all guns. But yeah, and that you could put a standard pistol grip on too, but they come with that oversized freaking oak wood one. And I love the butt stock. Yeah. Look how it kind of comes down. You can grip it. It looks like it reminds me so much of a cool old rifle, like a Mauser.
Yeah.
So I love the furniture. I really love the look of that gun. But there were a few pre-ban imports, but not many in 8mm. The closest import we've had in modern times is the M77, which is real similar in the barrel end, but it's on a stamped receiver and it's in 308 7.62 NATO. Still a really good gun, but it takes a little work to convert them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there were a handful of receivers that came in. And there actually were some guns that came in the past, but they had the third pinhole, so there was a recall. That leaves you with the Century Arms M76 Sporters, which were a U.S. receiver, a U.S. barrel. They have about the same track record as any other Century milled, quote-unquote, milled receiver gun. I wouldn't necessarily expect one to have the longevity of a true Yugoslavian or Serbian production gun. I wish Estava USA would import one, I can tell you that, but they don't seem to right now. I don't know if they have the capability to still make milled receivers.
There's one on Gunbroker right now for that has 4 bids. That's up to $3,425. So there are definitely ones on the secondhand market.
Yeah. Who's the seller?
I didn't see before I tabbed off of it. But
better not be Steve. I'll be pissed. he's talking about trading me one of his for something I've got. So better get first stab.
So anyway, so yes, that's the easiest way.
But they're not. Yeah, but they're the ones you're going to mostly find are the Century or custom builds. And there have been kits, and people have built them, and probably better options. But you're basically looking at a kit build, one way or the other. Yep. Even if it's on an original receiver, chances are it was one of the receivers that were brought in as a virgin receiver.
Yeah. Alrighty, so sorry, I was looking at pictures of this gun. Just by the way,
they're cool. They are cool looking.
Yeah, I looked at getting one back when they were like 1,200 or so, but at the time that was just way outside of my price.
Yeah, that was back when PSLs were well under 1,000.
Well, and how I learned about it was in a paper ad that I got mailed to me. If that tells you how long ago it was. Let me see here. Joseph says, "Love you guys. We love you too, Joseph. Can you tell me if the Vepr 54R extractor will fit the PSL and what other parts, if any, are compatible? Do you have any source for a PSL extractor? Thanks."
No, it won't.
There's totally different.
Totally different. The PSL is a military gun based on the RPK, AKM. The Vepr is very much a commercial gun. Yes, Molot loosely based it on the RPK, but. It's
That's a totally different animal.
The only parts that would interchange would be the parts that would interchange between any Kalashnikov like trigger group components. Probably,
And even at that, I think that there's might be some considerations on one of the receiver pins and the hammer.
It very well could be. Things like that. Maybe muzzle device, but it's because they're both the PSLs that are threaded anyway. They're both like 14x1, but essentially they're unrelated guns, unfortunately. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, my best suggestion, and actually I've got a spare bolt if you want to email me. There were some parts kits that came in a few years ago that were missing the barrel, the receiver, the furniture, so they're basically just legitimately spare parts kits. I needed some parts out of one. I did not need the bolt, so I probably have the bolt from that left, and that would have the extractor. But that's pretty much what you're looking at, is just finding a kit, bolt, and just using that extractor.
And I looked around before we started this, and I couldn't find any.
No, there's certainly not, like, Century doesn't have them, because when they brought the guns over, they brought over complete guns, not buckets of parts.
Yeah.
Foreign factories are weird about sending parts over. They don't want to do it. They want to send guns.
Yeah. Alrighty. Paper Plane Crash says, "Hey guys, curious to know what are some of your turnoffs when it comes to some of the aesthetics, some of the features, aesthetics, or profiles of different guns, ugly or unergonomic, or trends you wish would go away. Particularly since Misha is touch-oriented, are there things that feel ugly or irksome that you think might be overlooked by others who don't handle guns as thoroughly profiling as you do? Even if it's just your personal tastes and preferences, would love to hear the things that ruin or disappoint you guys about an otherwise fine firearm. As always, thank you both for such amazing content." Thank you, sir.
What would you say? What are your... I know you were talking about one before we did this video over on the couch.
Yeah, for me, for sure, I wouldn't necessarily say go as far to ruin it, but guns that look like they have bent barrels, or where the barrel kind of seems to angle down it's usually almost always like the furniture, the handguard.
Of course, it's that cat.
Yeah, well, he's been up here for a while.
Oh, I know.
I think it was the Vector rifle, I believe, from the South African Vector.
Oh.
Yes, 100%. Vector rifle. I'm going to
CR21?
CR21. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to put this. I'm going to show you on my phone here. Don't hack my sights. Here you go. This is what I'm referring to. There, if you can.
Yeah, it's a bull pup based on the Galil.
Looking at a reverse image. Okay, yeah. So you can see it almost looks like the barrel bends in the front, even though it doesn't. It's just the way that the handguard's angled. That is a turn off for me aesthetically. Then there's been a few guns like that look have that kind of melty crayon look in the front that are very unattractive aesthetically.
Yeah, for me, I don't mind plastic polymer guns. but I get real picky about the kind of plastic or polymer. I don't mind military grade, but if there's too much flex or it feels like something that, like a 1980s G.I. Joe toy tank was made from, that's a turnoff. I also don't like loose furniture. Like, I don't mind some play upper to lower in an AR, but if your handguards are loose on an AR or AK, that really drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't like bling. I don't like if you have, especially machining, okay, at least if it's hand engraved on a receiver, I can respect the art form, but like machine engraved receivers, I'm like, that's just junk on the, it's neither fish nor fowl. I don't like engravings, extra pictures, flourishes. That goes for like on wood stocks too. Checkering is fine, but when they do florals and patterns and flowers and moons and whatever, I don't like gaudy. I like serious looking guns. I don't like gaudy show guns, and I don't like overly polished, overly shiny chrome, nickel, or even heavily blued finish.
Yeah, I tend to also stay away from. We had an example of a very polished, very shiny gun that I had the opportunity to buy that I passed on because it was just too gaudy for me. It just seemed like something that would not be up my alley, I'll say. So that's one thing for sure. Oh, well, here, I thought of one thing too, that this is kind of from our earlier days. Rails for you were a big thing. Like it seemed where the trend of everything had to have a quad rail on everything, like slap a rail on everything.
Yeah, if you're going to do rails like on my Colt here, I like covers that naturally flow with the rails to cover them. That are meant to make a handguard feel.
The Galil Aces are a good example.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about the Galil Ace handguard. I actually really like it. I think it's a great way to have rails, but also a way to hide them if you don't need them. But when you have these big, fat quad rails, and then all that's on like 3 foot of rail on your gun is one little vertical grip. I'm like, why? If you want a vertical grip, all you need is a bottom rail. Like this, the Beretta over here, is a good example of rails I don't mind. It's minimalist. There's a short little front rail for a grip. There's short little side rails that aren't egregious. I don't mind that, but I don't like it when just rails are just. Oh, and I don't like it when they go all the way out to the barrel tip. It's like, why do you need rails, except for maybe a sight, but why do you need like a bottom and a side rail going all the way out to the end? They usually just look unbalanced. Like, for example, the Colt 6920 SOCOM 2 that had that Daniel defense rail. Not my thing.
I know you like the rail setup on the Bryn 2 really well, or at least on the current.
Because the side rails are pretty much optional, and the bottom rail is very non-obtrusive. And it doesn't go all the way out. I don't have a problem with that. I don't like unnecessary bulk. I like slim and trim guns, because that's, now it's kind of becoming vogue, especially in the AR, keep it simple, KISS guns. But for a while, they were
that was the opposite.
Like this one here is kind of intentionally a bit gadgety, but this is literally my most gadgety gun, and it has 3 things on the rail and a sight. But I don't go for everything on a gun. I like them simple.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's thankfully, like you said, the trend is.
Yeah, but for a few years ago, oh my God,
everything had to have rails on it, and you had to bolt everything to it, and
all this complications. I don't like Oh, one final thing, I don't like guns that are complicated for disassembly for cleaning. I think a gun should not require a tool to do basic maintenance. Detailed stuff, of course.
So what you're saying is the High Point carbine has checked off all of those.
Our gunsmith now will not work on high points in his list of things after that. Before that he didn't. Now he will not work on high points.
I like mine just fine, even though it does look like a melted crayon. Wolfie says, in your opinions, what are the most misunderstood or unfairly criticized firearms in military history? I'll throw my hat in the ring with the Spanish Ruby contracted for the French in World War I. Lastly, do you guys have any interest in Old West lever actions? If so, I'm sure people would love the videos. Keep up the fantastic work. Thanks, Wolfie.
I'll let you hit that. I'm gonna see if I've got any coffee left in my cup.
I will answer the first question. The second question first. I actually am interested in Old West type guns. I've got the Century C. What is it? The JW 2000 and 20 gauge double barrel.
Yeah, the old coach gun.
The old coach gun is an exposed hammer coach gun. I have a pair of Ruger single sixes. I actually have a pair of the Heritage 22 revolvers as well that I got before the single sixes because they were cheap and I could afford them at the time. And then I have a Henry 22 lever action with an octagonal barrel. That's also, like I said, in 22. I've had a Ruger Blackhawk. And I've had I'm blanking on the name, M92 and 357. Why am I blanking on it? Anyway, another lever action, 357. And there is something about working those old single actions and the lever actions that's extremely, because it's so tactile, it's very satisfying, especially whenever you start getting good at reloading pretty quickly and getting on target quickly and learning the eccentricities of the trigger and working the lever and all that stuff. So I do actually have an interest in them. I'll probably get more. I've been looking at getting into like a big bore lever action lately in like 4570 or something along those lines. As far as interest in the videos, the few videos that I've done on those have not been successful at all. They're generally ranked right around there with Japanese milk syrup as far as view counts go. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we do the channel because we enjoy it, and we do videos on things that we enjoy and want to see videos on. So it wouldn't stop me from. I can guarantee you, if I had a 4570 guide gun tomorrow, I would have a video on it by the next day.
I think the cross section of people that are into cowboy guns and that are routine YouTube viewers is relatively small. I know that there is a large cowboy shooting competition group out there. I just don't think they're routine YouTube visitors.
And all of our videos are on the extremely modern stuff that's usually pretty recent release, especially if it's AK relevant. So that's typically where we get most of our views, which makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what our bread and butter started off with. So, but again, if we have access to the gun, we're probably going to do a video on it, regardless of what type.
And I'm not into cowboy guns, but I start with smokeless powder. So my kind of oldest gun, the only lever action rifle I own is a Winchester 1895. Because those were used in World War I. And that's really where my interest begins, is really guns that were used in the 20th century, which means I'll buy some that were made as far back as the 1880s.
Right.
My absolute oldest handgun would be a Reichs revolver from Germany. And that's definitely an old single action, wheel gun, but that's as old as I go. And those were actually used in World War I quite a bit too, so that's kind of my cutoff. Was it used in the Great War? If it was already totally out of service by that time, it's probably a little too old. He also asked about guns that were kind of unfairly judged, and that's a video in and of itself. So maybe we'll just almost want to table that and do a video on it, like 5 guns. But I mean, I would definitely say the Carcano is better than it got credit for.
Yeah, that's a good point. Japanese guns, I think, get crapped on a lot. And that their actions are super strong. And again, most of that goes back to training rifles that weren't.
Yeah, everyone talks about German Mausers and how great they were. And I'm not saying they're bad, but Japan was right there with them. And here's the thing. Germany had been making guns forever. Japan's gun industry started in the 1870s, and already by the 1890s and 1900s, they were making some top shelf guns. When Japan committed, they committed.
Yeah, that's always the one I think of, because my opinion, I mean, before I knew you, my opinion of Japanese guns was that they were pot metal and crude and all that stuff. But then, that one night where you walked me through like the early ones compared to the late wars and all that stuff, is like, oh, these are actually unfairly judged, I think.
And they're interesting. I mean, I would say the Mosin's pretty fairly judged. I was going to say Mosin, but I'd say it is a pretty crude gun, and it does have some design flaws, but people are working, but it's still a good gun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think real quick. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of them. I can think of some that are overrated by history.
Sure.
Here's one, the Luger. It has a reputation for being kind of a jam-o-matic in World War I and all that. It really wasn't. For a first generation, or technically second generation self-loading pistol, it's pretty tight. There's not a lot of places for stuff to get in the action.
Yeah.
And when they were, the ones we have now are 100 years old, but when they were new and firing military-grade ammo,
yeah,
they did perfectly fine in the Great War.
Yeah. I thought for sure you were going to say the Luger's overrated.
That's collectors. I just mean shootability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of on the other end, on the collector end, I think the P38 is underrated. Collectors always go for Lugers, but I think the P38 is just as collectively cool.
Right.
I mean, I have Lugers. I like Lugers, but
the P38's a better gun.
Oh, yeah, there's a reason it replaced it.
Yeah. I think we're going to take a real quick break. Make a cut in the video so we don't lose anything, and then we'll be back here in just a few minutes, which for you is going to be like 1 second.
Plus, there's mariachi music playing down those streets.
Yeah,
let's go see.
Don't get copyright claimed.
No, I'm going to see what's happening at the party. That was a hell of a party.
Yep.
I can't believe you did 18 shots of tequila.
Me either, and that I'm so clear-headed right now.
I know. Well, you had like 8 limes too, so you're not going to get scurvy for 22 years.
Don't know what you're talking about. All right, so David says, by the way, I thought you said lines, not lines.
What was that about being clear-headed?
So David says, hello, any opinions on the newly available M70 AB2 AK from Century Arms? Thanks for your time.
Well, first, it's not new. I know what you mean. They're doing another production run, but they've done runs on and off since 2005. I know because I bought one then. They're kind of like I was saying with the M76. They're the typical Century build, U.S. receiver. They've used different receivers over time. Usually a Green Mountain, definitely a non-chrome lined, and definitely just a standard button rifled, not a CHF barrel. The parts are going to be used surplus. If there are serial numbers, they won't probably all match. So maybe they will, but usually they don't. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes they just scrub the numbers. Same with the trunnion markings. Same with handguards. Sometimes the runs have wood handguards. Sometimes they have the black plastic. Mm-hmm. The benefits are you get a bayonet lug, you get the grenade sights, you get the 1.5 millimeter receiver, even if it's US. But on the other hand, if you buy like an NPAP DF, you get a true factory built gun with a cold hammer forged barrel. And really all you're giving up is the bayonet lug and the grenade sights. Everything else is going to be the same, except, well, you'll have a 1.0 receiver, but I mean, Wassers, this is I tell people, I know 1.5 millimeter heavy duty sounds cool, but in reality, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
So personally, I go with the import, but that's just me.
Yeah. I have no opinion.
They're a Century kit build like any other, and they farm them out. They have subcontractors, so it kind of all depends on who that subcontractor is, and sometimes they have more than one for each run. So, sure. And of course with used parts, sometimes they're in excellent shape, sometimes they've been well used.
Right. So what you're saying is if anyone ever bought one from you, don't try to return it because the serial numbers don't match.
Well, and to be fair, Century sells them all as used, excellent condition. They sell something like a Wasser, or when they had the PAPs, they sold those as new guns because they were built from new parts. But these, since they're built from refurbished used parts, they sell them all as used.
Gotcha.
So if you buy one, expect that you might expect small issues, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep. Blake says, hey Misha and Jay, I keep missing the Q&A, so I'm just going to mad cow all my questions onto you now. They should be quick, but I won't be offended if you can't get to them all. We're going to get to them all. We're going to make your dollar worth it, Blake. Thank you. Estava M91. Do you foresee these ever coming down in price? Considering they keep selling out at the $3,000 price point, I suspect not.
Just I think you just answered your question. I don't think so. Estava, Atlantic Farms, and others have put great pressure on Estava USA to get their prices as low as they can.
Sure.
If they come down, it might be like a Black Friday special or something, but as a general rule, no, especially when you look at where PSLs are at today.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, just curious on your thoughts, would look nice to my Vepr and PSL. So
yep, I think
they got those.
Yeah, I think they're cool too, but the price turns me off.
Yep.
Not saying they're not worth it, they're just not to me.
I got really excited when I saw that they were going to be importing them, and then I saw the price tag. I was like, nope, never mind. I have my Vepr 54. I'm good.
Yeah, I've got a PSL.
Estava M90NP thinks Estava USA will bring back the Stanag mag version. Considering they brought in the M85 that takes proprietary mags, I'm guessing no. However, there seems to be a ton of demand for the M90NP.
Okay, here's the thing. Those are brought in taking standard mags. It was actually Century Arms who did the Stanag conversion magwell, and that part was made by a subcontractor. I don't know if they were made in the USA or they were made in China or the Philippines, but that wasn't, if one thing, it was a plastic magwell, so that tells you right there Estava didn't do it.
Right. So
the only way Estava USA would do that is if they got a hold of whichever maker Century used, but it wasn't a Estava Serbian factory thing. It was something Century did to try to boost sales.
Sure.
So I don't think so, and honestly, I don't hope so, because the Estava mags are fine, and I don't know, I've never been a big fan. Talking about, there we go, aesthetics again, or as earlier, I don't really like shoehorning a mag into a platform that it wasn't meant for. It just, I don't know.
Yeah. M92. I have a Virgin M92 kit I had built on a Childers. Is bluing the correct finish for this?
Absolutely. Bluing for the metal, except for the bolt group. The bolt group was basically treated steel. Think of it like stainless steel.
Okay. Have you ever done a video on the OG Remington Model 51? Just bought one and I can't seem to find one of yours.
No. We mostly do military guns, a few commercials. We're expanding commercials a bit, but yeah, we don't do a lot of commercial guns.
I do more of the commercial stuff, and older commercial guns don't really.
They're just kind of expensive for what they are, and the new ones, well, they haven't worked out.
Yeah, I'm more than likely to get a commercial gun that's kind of gimmicky or weird than I am something like that. So, what are your biggest pet peeves regarding false internet / FUD folklore? AKs are inaccurate, Beretta M9s are unreliable, the M1 Garand clip ping caused U.S. deaths in World War II, etc. Thanks, Blake.
What you got any? It's not that we don't have an answer, it's
we have too many answers.
Too many.
I got one right off the top of my head. Never fired, dropped once with French guns.
Yeah, that really...
And if it's said as a joke, it's fine, other than the fact that it's an overused joke.
It's not even fine. It's so overused.
It's like if you're a cashier and you go to scan something and it doesn't scan, and somebody goes, "Oh, I guess it's free, huh?" Like, it's just one of those things where it's just such a trite joke. But if you're saying it seriously, you have no understanding of the history of French involvement.
You apparently dropped out of history by 3rd grade.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, I'm sorry, France lost more men in World War I than World War II than America did. France had battles on its, in the Allied powers it suffered the most, and also France has been America's longest ally. So it's just kind of a slap in the face of a country that's really never been our enemy.
Yeah.
And it has a very proud martial tradition.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
that was the first thing.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good. That one drives me, and we get that. Oh, there's so much stuff. Here's one that I get a lot, and people talk about pre-Freedom Group versus post-Freedom Group Remingtons not being as good. I've not really noticed that. the newer stuff. They're saying in general, like, they don't make them like they used to. That gets into like survivor bias and the fact that any defective gun from the 50s or 60s we don't know about today. It was either repaired, sent back, scrapped, and that was pre-internet, so we can't read about it.
Right.
So it seems like any modern gun with a defect gets magnified, but any old gun with a defect is just hidden by history.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think that's one that I have to kind of, a little bit.
Question.
Yeah.
Sure. J-Man says, hello again. Regarding AK-74s, did any military adopt 74s in any other thread pattern other than the normal 24x1 threads? I've seen a few 74s before with regular 14x1. Always assumed this was a commercial variant. Is this assumption correct?
Here's the deal. Actually, Poland did use 14x1 threaded 545s, the Tantal, the WZ-88, but even though they're threaded 14x1, the threads are further back on the barrel where the barrel sticks further into the flash hider because it was also used as a grenade launcher. But yes, those were threaded 14 millimeter in Poland. Yeah, Bulgaria. Oh, and the Romania. They did their 22 millimeters threads for their PA-86. And they also did 14 millimeter for their 545 little, Draco guns. I've seen them referred to as PM80s or PM90s, but either way, the small little 12-inch guns that they did in 14, and then the larger 16-inch guns they did in their own unique 22 millimeter.
He also says, with all of the recent Star pistols on the market, all of them have their Spanish markings ground off. I'm curious what the markings were. Any knowledge on what they were or know of pictures of them? As always, thanks for all the great videos and great and entertaining videos. Thanks, J-Man.
I didn't know they'd been scrubbed off. It feels like the Spanish guns, the Stars I had come in, I haven't had any in recently, but the ones I had were fully marked.
So we probably, do we have any videos that might have those markings already on them?
Probably. I've done videos on the Star, and if not, I could do another one. But I know in the past we've done some videos.
Yeah, check out our playlists and see. Because the chances are, if we've done one and it was relatively recently, I mean, recently is within like the last 3 or 4 years, because before that it was technology. We should have some pretty good close-ups of it.
If not, I can do a quick one on, because I've got that Spanish B that actually was. Your friends, I think. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but no, that I didn't know. Again, I haven't bought any too recently, and to be fair, they're cheap enough that you kind of get what you get. Now, a lot of guns that have police markings, some jurisdictions want those machined off. I've got a Walther P4 that was West German police, and they very neatly, very Germanly, machined off the little police marking, and it's a very neat little oval where they took it off. So some departments mandate their markings be taken off just to make it clear this wasn't stolen, this was legally sold out of service, because if you find a police marked gun, it could have been stolen by a criminal, and I get it makes sense from their point of view.
Interesting.
But sorry, again, Google search. I'm sure you can see unadulterated Spanish Stars, and if we haven't done a recent video, I can easily do an update. Just let me know.
Yeah, there you go. We have one final question.
Back to the party then.
Frankie hitting hard-hitting questions. Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield? So
is this like who to vote for president?
So I'll take this one if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's
which one's the Democrat? Which one's the Republican?
So what I'm gonna say is Leon Kennedy, Chris Redfield, get out of here with that bullshit.
Okay, Kennedy sounds like a Democrat. Redfield sounds like a Republican. Am I right?
So thank you guys very much for.
I want to know who are these people?
What?
Who are these people?
I'll tell you offline.
I want to know. Who should I vote for?
Okay, so it's a whole thing. We can't get into it here.
You're getting hungry, aren't you?
No, I'm just it's a long. Okay, so
you want to get back to the party, then?
Leon S. Kennedy was in Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. Chris Redfield was in Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 5, 6, and 7. 5, okay game. 6, canonically, worst Resident Evil ever made. So he's consistently been in garbage games because he's a garbage character.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Which one's related to Mario? Because he's the only video game character I kind of know.
So, I have a fan fiction. I'll explain it.
Okay.
I'll send you the fan.
Wait, is this like that fan fiction with Indiana Jones and Voldemort?
It's similar.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's just, here's what I'm saying. Don't listen to it while your wife's home. Just,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or sober, or drunk, or anything.
Right. Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, like I said at the beginning, if you'd like to toss in a question or 2 or 5,
Yeah.
Maybe it's open to the Patreons, and we do these, 2 to 3 months. Try to have fun with them. Try to give legit answers as far as have fun. And the questions don't have to be serious, and they don't even gun related. I mean, so we're happy we've answered questions about favorite foods and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you would like Earl the cat, just email me and I'll send you a shipping label.
That's your best cat.
No, he's not.
Don't get rid of the best cat.
Take him. He's your buddy.
Yeah, so $1 and up, like you said, ask any question you want. Whenever we post up the Q&As, we send them out via Patreon, let everybody know. Usually post something on the channel, let you know when they're available. If you have a video request you would like to see us do a video on, the $5 and up tier, and we have a thread for that dedicated and out there. We are working through those slowly but surely.
Yeah, we've done a couple now. We're in the middle of a couple more, and like we said at the beginning, especially as the weather gets nicer, it'll let us get to the range a little more. And we had a good range day today, and so we're starting to get some stuff done and whatnot.
Yep.
But yeah, that's our $5 perk. We haven't figured out a $10 perk yet, but I'm sure it'll come along.
Yeah.
Something will happen.
Yeah, sure.
So we greatly appreciate it, guys. And feel free to comment below, and please do like, share, subscribe, all that stuff that everyone on YouTube always asks you to do.
Yes.
To be fair, it costs you nothing, so.
And we're a small channel. That stuff is really realistically how we measure our success. So.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're gonna call it a night. Get back to the fiesta, and this is Misha.
This is Jake.
And we'll catch you soon next time.
Bye.
Bye.